Welcome back to Chow Time Pods. Your host, Red. I got a video today from RivahTV.
And when winter comes, it does not, and this is not just the winter. We are heading into what I'm going to call the long night. It's not going to just be 6 months. We're talking about a global reset for the world.
If you receive SNAP benefits or food stamp, you need to pay attention closely because this is just breaking news coming out that starting November, you probably are not going to be receiving any benefit.
Well, it's official. Corporate America is cucked. You hear the news that Nestle is announcing a 5-figure layoff. We are talking about 16,000 employees.
Word on the street is Oracle is going to lay off about 10,000 people sometime in Q4, maybe December.
Basically, what women are hoping that single men who had no family, no children, and have been locked out of the sexual marketplace because of this hypergamy will somehow come and save their lives.
RivahTV.
Hell no.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Rivah, and I'm back again with another video. So if you guys are unaware, obviously we know that we are in the middle of a government shutdown. I had briefly touched on it in another conversation in which, we kind of explained, or we went through everything in regards to why the shutdown is happening, the anticipated length of the shutdown, and the reasoning behind it.
There's too many people that don't understand why the government is shut down right now, so I'm going to try to make this easy. A few months back, they passed something called the Big Beautiful Bill. The Big Beautiful Bill cut $1 trillion worth of Medicaid funding over the next 10 years, and they're saving that $1 trillion in a couple of different ways. First, they introduce work requirements for able-bodied citizens. This means if you can't prove that you're disabled, then you're required to work to receive Medicaid. You have to prove that you've either worked or volunteered or studied for a minimum of 80 hours a month. That's only 20 hours a week. Second, they made it to where you have to verify your qualification every 6 months. Before the Big Beautiful Bill, people could apply for Medicaid and then just remain on it. But now people are required to re-qualify every 6 months, proving that they put in that time at work or volunteering or studying. But if they'd rather just sit at home and be lazy rather than being a productive member of society while they're perfectly capable of being a productive member of society, then they'll lose their benefits. And that's how it saves the government money for healthcare to be used towards people that actually need it. So that's the first way that the Big Beautiful Bill is working towards saving $1 trillion over the next 10 years. The second way is a little more difficult to explain, and it involves the hospital, the state, and the federal government. But here's a summary of how it works. A patient goes to the hospital, receives their services, and then pays their bill. When the patient pays that bill, they're not only paying the bill, but they're also paying a tax. That tax goes to the state, and the state puts it in a Medicaid fund. Then the federal government matches whatever money was put into that state's Medicaid fund. Then all of the money that was put into that Medicaid fund goes towards funding people who are approved for Medicaid. But in the Big Beautiful Bill, they reduced the amount of money that the federal government is willing to put in the state's funds. Since there's less money coming out of the funds because they've eliminated the people abusing the system, they shouldn't have to put as much into the funds. And since they don't have to put as much into the funds, they don't have to tax the American population as much.
Now, nearly a month in, only a couple weeks out, the shutdown started on October 1st. Now it has been announced through so many different channels that food stamp benefits, SNAP benefits, are going to be shut off coming November 1st.
If you receive SNAP benefits or food stamp, you need to pay attention closely because this is just breaking news coming out that starting November, you probably are not going to be receiving any benefits. So just in less than 2 weeks, food stamps will be discontinued unless the government shutdown that gets fixed. Unless the government is back open at this current rate, it looks like food stamp is not going to have enough money to be given out in November if the government is still shut down. So
obviously we know that, food stamps is given to a plethora, a variety of people, right? Yeah. It affects, people who are on disability, people who are unable to work, people who are elderly, children, people who are on unemployment, men and women alike, single fathers. It affects a plethora of other people.
Hey, I'm on EBT, bro. Hey, that's why. Hey, look, bro.
Calm down, bro.
I'm on EBT, smack. Look. Say my name, bro. That shit. I had to go up in there by my face with a bell.
What I really wanted to hone in on is the fact that the good unfortunately have to suffer for the bad. And what I mean by that is,
it's so true.
there's so many conversations circulating currently in the era that we're in where women are like, they're not even willing to go 50-50 with a man. He has to come and he has to pay all their bills, all of these things. And this is something that Kevin Samuels talked about.
Yes,
he talked
did.
about, winter is coming, winter being here. But then he literally specifically talked about something that he called the long, dark night.
Winter is coming. Winter is coming, and when winter comes, it does not, and this is not just the winter. We are heading into what I'm going to call the long night. It's not going to just be 3 months. It's not going to just be 6 months. We're talking about a global reset for the world.
Not only did he talk about, a community in Japan that was literally withering off based off of the choices that they were making at that time.
I have been studying this for the better part of 2 years. Look at what's going on in South Korea and Japan. You think it's a joke? You think it's a game? There are villages in Japan where people are outnumbered by freaking dolls.
No, I went to South Korea. It is interesting to see the kids dynamic and just like the couples dynamic in South Korea.
I'm not kidding. Japan is dying. An aging population and a group of people who are not dating. They're not dating. They're not marrying. They're not getting together. You know what it's called? Hikomori.
Ironically enough, he also mentioned that a grand portion of black women were employed by the government.
The people who have not been working will be forced to go back to work because the children must be in school. The daycares that are left will be there. What are you going to do if you go and have a job and you've been downsized, you've been automated? How many people have been to a McDonald's recently? And you'll notice that most of the front register staff is gone. It's kiosks. The largest two employers in our community of black women are federal government and retail. Retail is dead. We have 26.4 square feet of retail space for every American. The next largest developed country has 6. We have 6 times too many retail spaces. This is why you're seeing dying malls across the country. And what's going on? Because so many...
The Westminster Mall that I live close by is like 30 minutes away from me. Now it's fully closed down. They're renovating the mall into apartment buildings. So yeah, there's a lot of dying malls around us just because there were so many. Oh, like Cerritos Mall, then there's a Lakewood Mall, there's Stonewood Mall. Oh my God, there's so much malls.
Many women are not being told to think about their long term. This is coming as a surprise.
Now, how do we know that to be true? We see it every time we open social media, right?
Yep.
Where women will, bash the man who says that he's, fatherless and he doesn't want to be a stepfather. And then, create these proclamations of what a good man is and how you need to come in and take care of their family and, do all the above for them.
I'm not going 50-50. Been there, done that, never will do it again. Because let me tell you something. You mean to tell me I still got to go to work, make money, pay 50% of the bills, then got to come home, cook dinner, take care of the kids, pick them up, drop them off at school, wash, fold clothes.
So as a black man with black women that do have children, I would expect you to want to step in for women who have children. The majority of us black women are single mothers. And since we are, and you want to date us potentially, then it would be your role to step in.
Now, like I said before, it is a sense of people suffering for the bad because they're, the reason why these assistants are there is because people do need them. True. Right. And so I understand, like, a lot of people are, may watch this video. There's going to be, somebody that who's connected to it, somebody who is, whether, like I said before, elderly or disabled or whatever, who genuinely need the benefits. And everybody is suffering based off of, one, the government shutdown and them not being able to all come to a conclusion on how they're going to move forward. But then separately, there's been an overturn that we saw based off of a video I did many moons ago on how this whole entire thing was kind of like constructed where, people became reliant and pushed the man out and started to garner, funds and support in lieu of the government in replace of having a man in the home.
The man in the house rule was written to prevent welfare cheating, to make sure that aid to families with dependent children would go only to families headed by mothers. But the effect of the man in the house rule is to create for children an atmosphere of investigation and surveillance. And thus, the welfare system in its operation turns out to be a system to make life harder for children.
The welfare system helps the disintegration of the American family. It offers money to families if the fathers will leave them and stay away, in that sense undoing the very stability of the family and taking away one of the two parents that children, of course, need. And what I have seen, I'm afraid to say, all over the country is that the legal system works against the best kind of home for these children.
Now, to be clear, I actually like to steer clear of these conversations, anything in regards to politics, because I don't know if you guys are aware, but I'm very aware of the pipeline, right? And I'm for the people. I'm just going to keep it real. I'm for the people. But I'm very aware of the pipeline and how in close proximity, holding women accountable and also talking about traditional women is also connected to, you know, strong spearheaded belief systems in which it's kind of like a one size fits all. We paint everybody with one brush. Hence why I keep mentioning the fact that this is going to affect a lot of people, not just the women who push the men out and not just the women who have been supported from the system and have relied on, you know, the system to pretty much be in charge of finance and raise their kids. Not just that, it's going to affect a lot of other people. And it's so crazy because this is happening right before the biggest food holiday, right? Like, you know, the holiday created called Thanksgiving is now going to be, you know, a very touchy situation for a lot of people. A lot of people. And then it's also going to affect the economy in a certain way because a lot of people are not, you know, going to be able to go to grocery stores and buy food and stuff like that. And so that's going to have an effect on everyone. It's going to lead to possible inflation in the long run because of the turn that they need to make, and that, you know, they are dependent on making certain amounts of money. It's really a mess. It really is. But again, I wanted to mention that, like we said before, that for all of the women who talked about for a long time before, you know, they thought that winter is coming was a farce. They thought that, oh, you know, it would never affect me. Who cares? I don't care about all these things that you guys are saying. I don't need a man. I could do battle by myself. You know, all of these thought processes that a lot of women had to the forefront, they are literally seeing it play out in real time.
Basically, what women are hoping that men, single men who had no family, no children, and have been locked out of the sexual marketplace because of this hypergamy will somehow come and save their lives. Not going to happen.
Juice ain't worth the squeeze, and we talk about it so much in this channel that men have checked out. They're not willing to be the sponsors of a lot of these women's retirements anymore.
It is going to be survival of the fittest.
Kevin Samuels had the conversation so long ago, and it's like, you know, I don't know, but it's like every time you turn around, everything that he said is coming more and more to fruition. It already was, but it keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. And now people are starting to wake up and realize, wait, now we see the reason for family. Now we see the value in community. Now we see the value in two heads coming together and being better than one. Now we see the value of, you know, two people bringing two incomes into a household to do better than just relying on one. Now we see the importance of that. Now you get it.
Family will almost always be there. A good family. And most people have somewhat good families. The government, yeah, they can take it away at any time. That's where a lot of women only saw this, didn't see this, right?
This is a tough situation. I'm wondering what's going to happen, right? Like, you know, regardless, I don't know if they're coming to any kind of agreement within the next 11 days. I don't really see that happening. And so November 1st will come, and, you know, obviously a lot of people are not going to, you know, be able to just buy the basic necessities of food. And the way how I see this stuff going, it seems like the government shut down. A lot of people lost their jobs. I don't know if them jobs are going to reopen, because if they're learning to function without you, then maybe they're going to create different, you know, spaces where they won't need to do that. And then it's like the worst timing too, because this job market is declining.
It is.
You know, there's so many stories of different companies laying off workers. And so it's not even like a place where people can even turn and say, oh, you know, people should just get a job. What job? What job?
Well, it's official. Corporate America is cooked. You hear the news that Nestle is announcing a 5-figure layoff. We are talking about 16,000 employees. This is coming under the new CEO who is laying off people in the name of automation, restructuring, using AI and automation to replace people. But that's not what's most concerning. What's most concerning is Nestle just had record-breaking profits. So they're making a ton of money. They're doing really, really well. But for 16,000 people who are going to be replaced by technology, they wouldn't have even seen this coming. They helped the company become profitable. They helped the company do well, and they are rewarded by losing their jobs to automation and technology.
Well, it appears that the profit over people playbook in big corporate's about to strike again. Word on the street is Oracle is going to lay off about 10,000 people sometime in Q4, maybe December, after laying off 3,000 quietly earlier this year. All coming after record-breaking stock performance as well as financial performance. Net revenue, net profit, everything is up. I believe the quote I saw somewhere is Oracle is demonstrating exceptional financial strength with robust revenue growth. So what better time to lay off 10,000 people and disrupt their lives?
This is a big deal, you know. I'd like to know you guys' thoughts on this entire situation in the comment section. You know, if you know people who are going to be affected, if you're going to be affected, you know, if just your thoughts on this entire situation. And, you know, I keep saying on a consistent basis, like I said before, that Kevin Samuels keeps being proven right over and over again. And it's the truth.
This is where the saying, you know, the few ruins it for the many. Yes, there's a lot of people that genuinely need this money, a lot of people that genuinely need support, but because of the few, the loud few, and there's a little bit more than a few that are taking advantage of the system, everybody sees it as it's a broken system, right? So that's why everything needs to be fixed, overhauled, you know, and whatever it is. And us being one of the richest countries in the world and having the most income in the world, we still live such a very poor life in a sense. And it's because we've been given so much freedom and we just take advantage of these freedoms. And now look at where we're at, where a lot of these freedoms are being taken away from us. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. And I'll catch you guys next time. Ciao.